Calendar item number 31, motion presented by Councilor Silvestri, that the City Council approve an act relative to term limits for elected officials in the City of Revere.
Permission to speak from the chair. Thank you. This will be referred to Legislative Affairs, but I just wanted to touch briefly on it. This is something that I truly believe in. It's something that I ran on in 2021 and was one of the first motions I put forward as a city councilor in 21. It didn't get much support then, so I figured I'd put it up now. And in recent surveys have indicated approximately 5 out of 6 of Americans, 75%, are in favor of elected term limits. The overwhelming support reflects a national sentiment which resonates deeply within our community. It underscores the desire for a government that is responsive, accountable to its constituents, rather than one that is entrenched in power. Since 2012, incumbents have won 97% of the time in elections, which further highlights the need for term limits to help level the playing field. The advantages of fundraising, name recognition enjoyed by long-term incumbents can often disenfranchise new candidates and discourage community members from getting involved in the political process. We have seen this desire manifest nationally, in particularly. The support for a president who ran on the promise of draining the swamp, and the swamp being longtime political people that overstayed their welcome. I believe that serving our community is a noble endeavor, and that's why I propose 10 years for an elected official. This duration not only allows the meaningful contribution to our city, but also ensures that we remain accountable to the taxpayers we serve. After 10 years of officials become vested in health insurance for life and in potential of longevity payments can inadvertently lead to a system where incumbents feel less compelled to be innovative and advocate for the community's best interests. Historically, our founding fathers recognized that and prolonged the power of undermined democracy. This understanding is reflected in tradition of U.S. presidents voluntarily stepping down after 2 terms. We have seen consequences of extended tenure in cities just next door, like Everett, where complacently can foster a disconnect between officials and the constituents they serve. Implementing term limits will no longer only promote accountability to transparency, but also help prevent the kind of isolation that can occur in positions of power. I want to clarify, I am no way suggesting that anyone on this council or in this city is in doing anything infrivolous, and I believe that term limits can serve as a safeguard against potential complacency and enrich our local governance. If we are truly committed to doing what is right for the Revere resident, I urge my fellow council members to support this home rule petition. Together we can ensure that our residents remain vibrant and responsive in all the needs. Thank you. Any other city councilors?
Mr. President.
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President. We usually agree on most things, but I totally disagree with term limits. If a voter is going to the ballot box and they're confident and they're comfortable voting for an incumbent, we shouldn't be taking that right away from them. I think we need to give the voter a little bit more credit. We have term limits. They're called voters. If they're comfortable with that incumbent, they should be allowed to vote for them. I think we've talked, and the country has talked about fraudulent elections, manipulating ballots. This to me is a manipulation. We don't like that people are going in and voting for the same people, so we're going to take that right away from them. They no longer have that. I don't see that's the intelligence of the voter. They're going in, they're voting, they choose to support an incumbent, and I think they have that right. And I wouldn't want to manipulate the system and saying that after so many terms, you can no longer vote. That takes their right away, and it takes the voters' right away. I know candidates have run on term limits, and that's their prerogative. If they want to put in their campaign platform or in their statement that they feel as though they're only going to be around for 2 or 3 terms or for 10 years, that's their choice, and they can convey that to the public. It shouldn't apply to everyone, And I think that we're going down a slippery slope. If we stop candidates from being able to run, what else are we going to stop? Or how else are we going to manipulate the system? Just because some people don't like that incumbents keep getting voted in doesn't mean we can take that right away from them. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. If I may, permission to speak? Thank you. And I agree, Counselor, and that is why, if you would like to get into a longevity of politics or make a career out of this, which I don't think any political seat should be a career of, but if you would have the ability to serve 5 terms as a school committee member. You'd have ability to serve 5 terms as a ward counselor, 5 terms as an at-large counselor, and 3 terms as mayor. That's 42 years. That's a lifetime of politics. I don't think we're erasing anyone or removing them. I think we're keeping people honest, and that's just my opinion. Thank you. And Councilor
Can I respond to that?
Swire. Yes, you can.
Okay, so what is not being honest? I mean, if people like to be counselor, they like to be mayor, what are you going to be shifting from school committee to ward counselor to a counselor at large to mayor? I don't think anyone's being dishonest, and I don't think anyone's owning a seat. You don't own a seat. Every 2 years, your term expires. Voters go in, they go into the ballot box, and they vote. I don't think we need to insult the intelligence of a voter and say you're not doing the right thing. We don't like what you're doing. That, to me, is just against every citizen in the United States has the right to run for office. They have the right to seek re-election, and every citizen in the United States has the right to vote for who they think they're most comfortable with, and I don't want to take that right away from them.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Guarino-Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to begin by being completely transparent. I supported this. In fact, I asked to be included as a maker of it. Like many, I believed term limits might be a good way to make room for fresh voices and prevent people from staying in office too long. But after giving it some serious thought, I changed my position. And I think it's important to say why. As a first-term counselor in Ward 5, I'm learning every day how much time it takes to do a job effectively. You don't just walk in and start passing motions or fixing citywide issues. It takes time to understand the system, build relationships, and earn the trust of your residents. And it takes even more time to turn a good idea into real results. If this motion passes, we risk removing good leaders just as they've hit their stride. We risk forcing someone out who's experienced, effective, and connected to their community, only to replace them with someone who may be less prepared simply because the seat became available. That's not good government. It's a gamble with real consequences for the neighborhoods we represent. And let's not forget, we already have term limits. They're called elections. They are called elections. Every 2 years for councilors and every 4 years for mayors. We have to stand before the voters to earn their support. If we're not doing the job, then they have the power to make a change and to get us out. But if we are doing the jobs and our community trusts us to keep going, then they should have the right to keep us in office. That's democracy. That's the democracy we live in. So while I understand and respect your intentions behind the motion, I cannot support it, and thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Councilor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to applaud you for this motion because I am in full support of it. I really think, well, whenever I talk to people, whoever I'm talking to, whenever this issue comes up, people are in favor of term limits. There is no doubt about it. They want term limits. An incumbent definitely dissuades a newcomer from even throwing their hat into the ring. And I believe everyone should have the opportunity to serve their community. If we're truly talking about democracy and what our residents want and what voters want, then maybe this should be something that should be entertained by a ballot vote or even a non-binding ballot vote or question or something like that. If you really want to know what your constituents want and what the people we're representing, what they want and how they feel, maybe we should even go that way with this. But I am in full support of it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that this motion has merit, because some 30 years ago, I ran for office on the platform of term limits. I'm not ashamed to say that, because I got here and I found out I make a difference. Now, I don't think anybody on this council or in this city would ever say that I'm complacent. I get things done. I do what I think is right. People don't always agree with me, but they know where I'm coming from. So I said to myself, I said right away after the first term that I got elected, and I realized that I could make a difference up here, that I changed my mind. And people have used that, or try to use that against me in elections and say, he ran on term limits. He's been there all these years. But the answer is, I'm here all these years because the people put me here. The people know that I do the job, and I do the job for them, and I'm always concerned for the taxpayer. So I changed my mind like others, but it wasn't because of the lucrative money I was going to make as a city councilor, because we all know we work for pennies an hour here, because it's a full-time job if you're doing the job. And I enjoy the job because I make a difference. And that's why I can't support you on this. But I do believe it has a lot of merit. And I know that a lot of people say they want term limits. But when they see someone like myself that they think is doing a good job, they want to put them back. So they're conflicted. But in a poll, they're going to say, I'm for term limits. But when the rubber meets the road, they're really not for term limits. That's the way I see it. And the term limits, my colleague from Ward 5, term limits is every 2 years. It's an election. The people can throw you out at any time. Do the wrong thing, and you're gone. So I can't support you on this, but I do respect you for putting it in.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Counselor Hess.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I have great respect for you, great respect for the motion. When you put it that way and when you read it, it is interesting to say, oh, I could do 10 years as an at-large counselor and then jump 10 years to a ward counselor. We've seen the last election that we had here in Revere, just what new blood can do to a city council. It rejuvenates it, it adds fresh energy, fresh life, and we had 6 new councilors get on during the last election. So I don't think it's an idea that would breed a lot of new blood. You'd still have counselors in for 10 years, and then who else is going to run after those 10 years? What if no one runs? Why not 12 years? Why not 14 years? But like I said, great respect for you, Mr. President. I just think we should leave it up to the voters like we always have. You look around this room, and there's quite a few portraits of counselors and mayors who have served for well over 10 years. And I'd like to think they're important figures in the city. And I know I've leaned on my veteran counselors here who have been here 10 years and more. And that means a lot to have that mix of veteran counselors and new counselors. I think that's important. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Okay, this will be referred to Legislative Affairs.